What's up, everybody? This is Connor and Joshua with Chamber One Tactical. Today we've got the smallest pistol in the Canik family, which is the Canik MC9. We're going to be answering questions like, how well does this gun perform? Does it stack up to its competition? And should you go pick one up for yourself? So let's get into it. Alright, so first and foremost, the most important part of any of the reviews we do, the value of this gun. So what did this gun come in at?
Yeah, so they typically come in around $399,
Yeah.
which is a great budget option.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as price goes, you really don't see that many guns coming in at that price point for
Right.
something that, you know, we'll get into has the features that this gun has. So very impressed with the price point that this gun is coming at, and very happy that Canik is trying to keep it budget minded.
Yeah.
So very happy to see that. The gun itself, just getting into the features, first off, we'll start off with the actual sight. Or actually, do you want to start off with what comes in the box,
sure,
if you
we
don't
can.
mind?
So what comes in the box is obviously the gun. It comes with 2 magazines. So that one right there is a 12-round magazine. And Connor, if you can show, it's got the little pinky rest right there. Or you can put on the flat base plate.
Yeah.
But we actually did prefer the 12-round with the little pinky extension so that you can get a nice full grip on it. And then there's also the 15-round magazine that comes in it. And then this is just a quick note, but it is the same magazine pattern as like the Canik Rival, the full size. So like this is our Canik Rival magazine, and it obviously looks weird, but it fits in there perfectly fine. And we had no reliability issues or anything while running with that magazine.
And you guys will notice we were shooting with these mags.
Yeah.
So if you saw that much more sticking out, it
Yeah.
wasn't that we were shooting a different gun.
Yeah.
We were just running the
Right.
other magazines that we have.
But you do get you a outside the waistband holster, you know, so that's nice that they include that. We also get some different back straps in here. You get this little toolkit, which is a little mini Canik. When you thought that Canik couldn't get small enough, they have another one that's smaller. And then some other little cleaning tools. So you get a lot in the box, which is really nice.
I've always appreciated Canik putting in cleaning supplies, and
Yeah.
I mean they're cheaper, but it's nice to see them actually trying to give you something. You know, I feel Canik is one of those companies that's more reaching out to the first gun buyer, the first gun owner.
Yeah.
So giving people things like that is very helpful because they probably don't already have that.
Right.
Guys like us, we already have our cleaning kit, so we may not use it, but I do believe it would be helpful to people, you know, if this is the first gun they've ever purchased.
Right.
But getting into the actual features, the sights themselves, me and Joshua were actually talking, this is not my preferred sight setup, but I see where it's perfect on this gun, meaning the size of them. So the gun is obviously not going to be a long distance, you know, go out and try and shoot 100 yards with it, where you could. These sights are definitely going to be set up for more of a point shoot type of situation. And what I mean by that is a self-defense situation where they're not but maybe 7 yards away from you. So very close up front shooting, or up close shooting. And the sights work very well in that way. Now, Josh, I'm going to let you explain because they are a little different. You did do something to them.
Yeah, so it came with a white front sight, and the black is blacked out rear, which we actually like, so that is good. But what I did is I just put a little bit of gun, glow-in-the-dark green paint in the very front.
High vis or something?
It's something like
Something like
that. I have an orange color and a green color, but I just kind of dab it in there, and then it kind of makes it a night sight. So, and it's very inexpensive to do that, but I went ahead and did that to the front sight, and even just during the day, having that green as opposed to the white for me just stands out a lot more.
It's definitely helpful.
That's something I would like for them to have as an option. I really like tritium to come from guns, but I know they try to keep these as cheap as possible, and this is sort of like a budget gun, so I see why they did that. But the sights aren't bad. It's just that they're a little bit thick. I typically like a thinner sight so that you can be a little bit more precise when you start stepping it back. But these are definitely set up for closer up shooting, like Connor said.
Yeah.
And then what's really nice is that it is optic cut. I believe every single one of these are optic cut. It's not just an option. And for you to have to not pay more for it, and for it to come in at the price that it did, that's a great option, or a great feature to have on the firearm. And what is nice is it doesn't have the plate system.
Yep.
From what I understand, it's just cut for the actual, optic. And that's one complaint I had about the Canik Rival is you have a really thick plate which sets the optic on even taller.
Yeah.
But they were able to make it nice and compact.
Yeah, it's very cool to be able to see a gun. We've talked about a lot. Is a optic system necessary? No, but it is nice to see companies are doing that for cheaper and cheaper, so that if you were a person that did prefer an optic on your carry gun, you have that option available to you without having to go and spend money sending your slide off, not having your gun in that time period. It's nice to have it already on there from the factory. So
right.
We love that, moving on to the slide itself, they have very minor, I would say, serrations. They're not super deep, but I'd never had any issues getting a hold of the slide to rack it. So I will say that if you're shooting this a lot in the summertime, I wouldn't recommend going and grabbing up here because it will scorch your fingertips.
That'll happen to any gun.
Yeah, it'll happen to any gun, but it just seemed like it happened to this one really, really fast.
Yeah.
So, but the serrations, I love the profile of the slide. Just being able to wrap over it, it's almost perfect for the way that your thumb and everything come over the slide. Just naturally grips on there, and it's very easy to get a hold of. So I think with the room that they had, they did a really good job getting everything on there and making it useful to you.
Yeah, and I really appreciate how thin they were able to make this.
Yeah.
We had the original subcompact Canik pistol that they had, and this one is so much thinner than that one. It's also smaller in other dimensions as well, but mainly in how thin this gun is, it's getting really close to like your SIG 365.
And that's why we got rid of the gun that we had. It was because
it was
of
chunky,
how thick it was.
Yeah, it was
small, but it just pushed out so far off your stomach, it was not
And
worth
what's
it.
still impressive is it takes the exact same magazines.
Yeah.
So, but that's very interesting. But it does come with a rail. We actually were able to put some lights on there. They make holsters already that you could put like an O-light or whatever kind of light you want on there and have a good holster set up. I like the trigger guard on the frame.
Yep.
It gives you plenty of room to get your finger in there. And then if you want to talk about the controls.
Yeah, so this was one of the things that I noticed just in shooting. I actually pointed out to Joshua that the slide stop, slide release is one of the best I've seen on a compact gun like this yet, in my opinion. It's very easy to get a hold of. We never missed it. We never accidentally put it on while shooting. But to be able to keep a gun as slimline as this and have ambi controls that are the exact size on both sides was very impressive to me.
Yep.
Slide stop, slide release a lot of times is something that companies cheap out on. They don't really put a lot of thought into it. They just put it on there and run with it. I think they put a lot of thought into how they did these because of how well they work. If just looking at it, you wouldn't think there's a ton of real estate to get your thumb on there, but it's very easy to get a hold of it and pull that thing down. So I think they did a great job on the controls. The mag release is very easy to get to, and it's very quick. When you push it, the mag's coming out. So, comparing that to like a Glocks, you have to continue to push, and then it'll finally drop. So things like that are just making it easier for you to, manipulate the firearm and use the firearm, especially on a carry gun where you may have to do a mag change.
Yeah.
In a situation, you want to have everything very easy to get to, on this small of a package, and I think they did that.
Right. One thing I will note that we noticed, it's not a huge issue, but like Connor was saying, the mag does drop freely, as you see. But there's a lot of friction going into the firearm.
Yeah.
It seemed very tight. So, like, as you can see right here, I'm going to just pull it down just a tad, and it's not falling freely. You see, so there is a lot of friction, and, you can pull it right back out. But there is a lot of friction in there, which you typically don't see with the full-size guns, and that could be just because they were trying to make it so small, but they didn't want to sacrifice the thickness of the plastic.
Now, I like it because it doesn't rattle.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't like rattle. So I don't dislike that, but you are right. I mean, having it that tight could cause, if you get something in there, it may cause it not to drop freely. So that is,
But moving on to the best part about this firearm, and that is the trigger. This has one of the best triggers, not just in subcompact guns, but just in handguns, period.
Yeah.
Striker fired at least. And so it's a light pull for what you typically see. For carry pistols, which is fine. I think it's very appropriate. It's not too light. It's not like a 2-pound trigger by any means. But you take up all the take-up. It comes to a very distinct wall. It breaks super crisp, and then there's a short reset right after that actually pushes your finger out.
Yep.
This is exactly what me and Connor look for in a trigger. So we were very impressed.
Yeah, and the first, in a gun like this, I actually like the little bit of curve to the face of the trigger. Because there's so many things going on, and a lot of times smaller guns have a little bit more snap to them. You just feel that recoil a little bit more. I like that my finger stayed in the curve of that trigger the whole time. Flat face, sometimes if you don't have any kind of serrations going across there, your finger may slip up or down on the gun. I do like how the curved trigger just kind of captivates your finger from moving up or down. So I do like the trigger face and trigger shoe on this one. But like Joshua said, I mean, there's really no comparison other than Caniks, because a lot of the Caniks have the same triggers. But as far as subcompacts, it's going to be hard for any other guns to come close to this, because, like he said, not only is the brake good and light and clean and crisp, but the reset pushes your finger out and it's immediate. Yep. Right when you let off pressure, it's reset and you're ready to go again, which is exactly what you want. I mean, it's perfect. So without, as close to perfect as you can get. I don't want to say perfect, but it's pretty close.
Right.
And then the texturing. As small as this gun is, this is something me and Joshua also talked about, is that a lot of times, like what I would say to the, what's the Taurus? The GX4. So a lot of times when I would shoot the GX4, the gun just wants to sit up in your hand. After you pull the trigger, the recoil just is kind of snappy, and it just wants to sit up straight in your hand, doesn't want to push itself back down. Didn't have any issues with this gun. It wasn't any more snappy than any other subcompact guns that we've shot. But I will say the texturing, as little texturing as there is, it's very, very aggressive. And it did an excellent job keeping my hand tight on the gun. And I promise you guys, today was the test for the grip, because we were sweating half to death out there. It's been very hot doing these reviews. So for this little bit of texturing to be able to lock that gun in, I was very impressed with the actual texture on the gun.
Yep. So I guess the ultimate question is this gun worth what they're asking for it?
I think it's worth every penny of what they're asking for it. Like he said, $399. I would honestly, and if you guys want to see some more reviews on some other guns, kind of going a comparison between a couple, but I mean, you're talking about really, really close to the value of like a Palmetto State micro dagger. And it's going to be really hard to compare those two, because this gun shoots very well.
And the track record on it so far has been amazing.
Perfect. I mean, we haven't had any issues with ours.
Well, and even other people, we haven't really seen issues with these, like the micro daggers or anything.
So I would say this gun, one, is worth it. Two, I would definitely recommend it to someone, because it shoots well for the size gun it is. You do not notice that it's a subcompact gun. Yes, it's small, but it shoots great. And then, like Joshua said, the track record, the reliability is great. The shootability is great. So if you're somebody out there looking for a subcompact gun to start carrying, this is definitely at the top of the list, in my opinion, or one of the top three, top five that you should be looking at right now. Obviously go and do your own research, pick it up, feel it. But as far as going out and shooting, me and Joshua were talking about how much we had a couple other guns we were shooting. We kept going back, even when the cameras were off, kept going back, picking this gun up, trying to go back further and further and just shoot, because it's just enjoyable to shoot. What would you say?
Yeah, so I'd say 100%. I hope Canik is not watching this, because I can honestly say they could probably charge more for what they're charging for this and still get a lot of sales. Because it competes very heavily with a lot of the higher end competitors like your SIG, your Springfield Hellcats, that they're still selling a ton of those, but those are getting closer to $600.
Oh yeah.
And not all of them are optic cut. Some you have to pay to get it optic cut and stuff like that. This coming in at $399, and what you get out of it with everything in the box, this is a phenomenal deal for one, and it's just an awesome gun. Even if they charge more, it just performs really well. So I would 100% recommend this firearm. I don't know what took us so long to get it, because I knew I would like it before we ever purchased it, just based off the reviews I had seen, and it really did live up to the expectation.
Yeah, I mean, you'll notice certain guns that we may get, you may only see one review on it. I have a feeling this is going to be a gun we're going to try to do some reviews, comparisons and stuff like that, because this is a keeper in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, we talk about different guns. Would you keep it? Would you buy it? This is something that I may want to go get. This is Joshua's gun. I may want to go get me one now to carry, because I really, really do like it.
Now, what if they came out with a compensated
I was
version?
just about to ask you what we were going to say. If we could ask Canik to do one thing, is try to match what some of these other companies are
That'd
doing.
Be awesome.
And slap a comp on that.
It's not necessary, but it is cool.
Oh,
it is cool.
It'd be awesome. Well, guys, that's the review we've got on the Canik MC9 as of right now. If you guys have any comparison videos you would like to see, drop it down in the comments and let us know exactly what guns you'd like to see them compared to, and we will for sure do that for you. If you have any questions about anything you see, just let us know in the comments. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.